Good morning, Downingtown STEM Academy. My name is John Michaels.
And my name is Ryan Hires. Welcome back to another episode of STEM TV Quarantine Edition, Season 2. We can't wait to share with you all of our new and returning segments in today's episode.
Before we do that, we would like to remind you that STEM TV is still looking for student-submitted segments to air on STEM TV. If you have any ideas or talents you want to share with the rest of STEM, please follow the link in the description below for more information and submission details.
Now, to actually start the show. Today, we have our very first segment of STEM Happenings this year. For those who don't know, STEM Happenings is basically a segment where we interview different club leaders and teachers. This year, STEM Happenings will be hosted by Aparna Vagvala. Let's hand it over to her now.
Hello, Downingtown STEM Academy. My name is Aparna Vagvala, and I'm your new host of STEM Happenings. Welcome to the first interview of the year. Today, we have with us the STEM Hacks Club. Do you want to start by introducing yourselves? Maybe just give us your names and the roles in your club.
I'm Anurag Ray Chowdhury. I'm one of the co-founders of the club.
I'm Adishay Jain. I'm also one of the co-founders of the club.
And I am also a co-founder of the club.
I'm Raghav Dak, and I'm also co-founder of the club.
So just to start off, can you give me like a brief description? What do you guys do in your club?
So basically what we do in club days is that we're going to teach anyone who wants to join the club the Python coding language, which is one of the easier languages to learn that's useful later on in our lives.
That definitely sounds like something that a lot of STEM students would be interested in. So when exactly does your club meet?
So our club our club is planning to meet in club days, and we're also tentatively planning to have one school meeting a month.
So what are some like fun ways for people to get involved in your club?
We're going to have some problem-solving programs that we're going to run. And then we're also going to host a few hackathons if we can. And basically what we'll do is in those hackathons, we're going to present teams with either a problem or just the option to create anything that they want. And then we'll give them a time limit. And within that time, whoever makes the best program wins.
We're planning to have monetary incentives for the winner of the hackathon. So you should definitely participate in
that
them.
sounds really cool. So how are you going to be adapting your club to the virtual setting, like with these hackathons and events? Like, is there any plans that you have for making sure everything runs smoothly?
Yeah, so one of the advantages of our club is that it's relatively easy to go online because most of what we're doing is already on our computers. So it's just that we have to have a Zoom call in order to teach everyone how to set up the emulator and how to code. And then what does also make it easy to do is that instead of seeing each other's screens or having to walk around the room looking at each other's screens, we can just share screens now.
And the club on club days is basically we're going to be splitting into small groups, which we can do using breakout rooms. And these small groups will be working on solving these problems, and everyone is going to be learning together, which is a lot more fun than just a teaching environment, which most coding things are.
Yeah, that sounds like you guys have really figured out a creative solution to adapting. So is there anything else that you want us to know about STEM hacks?
Okay, I think we're good.
All right, and that concludes our first STEM Happenings interview of the year. Thank you for joining us today, STEM Hacks, and thank you to everyone watching. See you next time on STEM Happenings.
Great interview, Aparna. We can't wait to see who you interview next week.
STEM Happenings is a great way to tell the school about what your club does, and it's an even better way to recruit new members. So if you're interested in promoting your club on STEM Happenings, make sure to fill out the survey linked in the description below. Make sure that you sign up quickly because spots fill up extremely fast, so do it while you can.
Next up, we have STEM Sports hosted by Mitchell. He will be updating us on information about normal sports as well as the plans for school sports this year. So, student athletes, make sure you listen closely.
Thanks, guys, and welcome to week 2 of STEM Sports. I'm your host, Mitchell Weininger, and let's get into this week's sports action. Earlier this week, a letter sent out by the Westchester Area School District talked about how Chesapeake sports could make a return as soon as the second week of October, as they expect other schools, including Downingtown West and Downingtown East, to also return to fall sports. Their plan is to give their high school students a fall sports season. Also announced last week, the Big Ten Athletic Conference announced that Big Ten football would make a return on the weekend of October 23rd. This means Penn State will open their 2020 season against Indiana on October 24th, with a start time yet to be announced. For the Eagles, this week's 37-19 loss against the Los Angeles Rams seemed to hit harder than their Week 1 loss to the Washington football team. The Eagles were unable to take the lead all game, and the game was effectively over after Carson Wentz's pass attempt to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was intercepted in the end zone. Carson Wentz has not had a stellar start to the season, as he finished this game with 242 passing yards, 2 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. On the injury front, Eagles lost offensive lineman Samalu to a leg injury. This adds to the list of injuries that the Eagles seem to keep growing every week. They play Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals Sunday at 1 p.m. For the Phillies, these seem just to find ways to lose at this point. They are now 27-29 after losing 4 in a row and are now on the outside looking in for the playoffs. This losing streak has been plagued with bad defense and bad offense, and as always, the bullpen. It seems like now the Phillies, who are now in 9th place, are in a full game behind the 8th and final playoff spot, will seemingly have to win every game in order to make a chance to get into the playoffs. Extra pain to this September collapse is that former Phillies manager Gabe Kapler and his San Francisco Giants are 1 game ahead of the Phillies for the playoff spot. In the NBA news, former Oklahoma City coach and Sixers coaching candidate Billy Donovan has been hired by the Chicago Bulls to be their next head coach. This leaves former Cavs and current Clippers assistant Tyronn Lue and former Rockets coach Mike D'Antoni as leading candidates for the Sixers head coaching gig. And also in the NBA, the Lakers lead the Denver Nuggets 2-1 in their Western Conference final matchup. And also in the Eastern Conference, Miami leads 2-1. Well, that's all I have for you this week, and I hope to see you again next week. I'm Mitchell Weiniger, and this has been STEM Sports. Now back to you, John, and Ryan.
Awesome job, Mitchell. Next, we are extremely proud to announce a new segment on this show called ASD Community. This segment aims to inform the school of events that students are doing inside and outside of school and in the general DASD area. It's a great way to stay positive in these uncertain times and also be informed about the efforts DASD residents are putting in to make our community a better place.
DASD Community will be hosted by Sarah Asif. If you would like to be featured on a future segment of DASD Community, please check the description box for more instructions and contact us with any questions you have. We especially think seniors would find this helpful for advertising their CAST projects, especially if it relates to the service strand.
Sadly, we could not have her on the show, but she'll be on next week, so make sure to fill out the survey so that you can be featured in the very first episode of DASD Community.
Sadly, we're nearing the end of our show today, but don't worry though, STEM TV Quarantine Edition will be back again next week with even more fresh content.
But before we go, we want to remind you to join STEM TV if you want, to help us create new episodes of STEM TV Quarantine Edition. If you want to join STEM TV, please join the STEM TV Schoology group and fill out the interest survey. Information can be found in the link below.
Unfortunately, that's all we have for you today, Downingtown STEM Academy. Thank you very much for taking the precious time out of your day to tune in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again next week with another episode of STEM TV Quarantine Edition.